What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another transfer show. Although everyone's doing transfers apart from Arsenal at the moment, but we'll talk about the transfers we haven't done. Big up to everyone locked in on this Thursday. Potsy's in the building. How are you, Daniel?
Good, man. I've been decorating in this room, so people keep thinking I've moved house. I haven't moved house. The stuff will be on the wall soon, but I've got to let it dry out and stuff. So I've been doing a bit of DIY. Curtis got the parents involved. Bless them, big them up every time, and they're all good at stuff like that. And I'm not very practical. So apart from that, man, I'm trying to keep away from news stories at football because it gets depressing, man. We were just saying off air, it gets kind of like who's doing moves in the transfer market, everybody but Arsenal. Same old story, man. Some things never change, bruv.
Some things never change. You know what? When I saw your background, I thought, is he on holiday or something? Like, where's the Burkamp and them pictures there? But do you know what? Before we get into it, it's like we're only 5 days into the window, but there's already a lot of frustration amongst a lot of the fan base. Now, there's a lot of guys who message me and they say, "Oh, we're 4 or 5 days in. Why are you panicking?" I said, "Bro, when something happens over and over again, and it's a bad thing. When that happens again, you're supposed to react to it. You're not supposed to go, oh, let's see how this pans out when you've seen it happen before. Like Arsenal are notorious for taking too long to get deals done. And you look at City. City have agreed on Reinders. They've agreed on Cherky already. You look at Liverpool, they've signed Frimpong, they've nearly signed Kirkez, and they're advanced on Florian Wirtz. And they're the two clubs that we're supposedly in competition with. And then you even look at a team like Chelsea, who are in talks with Mike Mignon, the goalkeeper. Apparently today they've made an offer for Kudus as well, which is a player that we've been linked with in the past. And then Ben Jacobs saying today that Gyökeres would go to Man United if they agreed a fee with Sporting Lisbon. So I think every Arsenal fan does have a right to sit here and say, what's going on? And one more, yeah, I saw Liverpool's name linked with Sesko today, saying he's on a list of potentially 3 or 4 strikers that they're looking at. So have we got a right to be sitting here saying, what's going on? Where's the players? Or do we have to calm down and just say, we're only 5 days in? What's your opinion?
You can never calm down with Arsenal because if you calm down, you become too kind of naive, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And what's the word? I can't think of the name of the word. Complacent. There we go.
Yeah.
Become complacent and believe that Arsenal will just get it done. How many times have we been saying this in the summer and January? I was told when there's 2 days left, like something's going to happen. Like we're getting rid of all these players. Smith Rowe's going, Eddie Nketiah's going, Reece Nelson's going, Fabi Vieira's going. They won't get rid of 4 players and bring in just one big name. They'll bring in a couple of big names. And we brought in Raheem Sterling. So they have shown me what they are, Curtis, and I can't believe that we're still in this get excited mode. The only thing that's different now is Andrea Berta. He is the only difference. If this was Edu and Jason Ato, I'd be tapped out for the season. What does frustrate me is Manchester United finished in an embarrassing position, got embarrassed by the Spursy of Spurs in the final,
Yeah.
and they've made 2 signings that would have walked into Arsenal's team in Cunha and Mbuemo, and they're linked with Gyökeres. Liverpool have bought, I think, the signing of the summer, Florian Wirtz. That looks like it's going to get done. I think they've got 2 of the most exciting young fullbacks in Europe. Currently, quite clearly, the team of the season was Kirkez, left back. They bought him. That's going to be an upgrade on Robertson, who's been brilliant for them, but his legs have gone. They've got Frimpong, who's going to basically not upgrade on Trent because Trent's generational. But in terms of going forward and defensively, you can probably say that he's better defensively and he's going to be good going forward. Maybe not as great, but certainly won't be like missing him completely. And they've kept hold of Salah and Van Dijk, and they're going to get a 9. And it looks like it's going to be Sesko's one that they want. So we're in a scenario where we've got Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal that all want a striker, and there's only so many strikers that are available. Now, I was speaking to my dad about this, and he made a great analogy. You know, like when you're at school and you're playing football and you get 2 captains, and there's the kind of guys you don't want to pick that are like usually the ones that hate football, the fat nerdy kid who just wants to go back to the library. That's what we're going to end up with, bro, if we're not quick. Because Gyökeres is going to be snapped up by Manchester United if Arsenal aren't going to be quick enough. If we're going to concentrate on Sesko for this long, Liverpool might just go, well, we won the title, we'll take him. We'll give you first team football. You don't have to be switching around with Havertz because Darwin Núñez is off. And all of a sudden, we're the ones that are then going, we might have to pay £1,000 a week for Osimhen then. No, he's going to Saudi. Oh, okay. Jonathan David on a free it is then. This is my problem with Arsenal. So it's got to be quick. And I've been disappointed with how slow we've been again. I mean, we were supposed to have been signing Zubimendi in January, and we've still not gotten them across the line. And they're saying that accounts-wise is suggesting that we won't do it until after the Club World Cup in the 1st of July. And that's Zubimendi. That's not even the midfield, the striker we want. I've not been excited yet in this window because I don't think Andrea Berta has really got started yet, if I'm honest. I think Zubimendi was an Arteta and Edu signing. I think Sesko and Williams are the two they want that are probably prior to Andrea Berta getting involved. And the only ones that we're looking at now, when you start to hear names, whether it be Rodgers or Eze or Gyökeres, is because Berta's trying to do some magic. Now, I think we're going to find out very quickly who the most powerful voice is at Arsenal. Because if Setkos and Williams are starting to come through the door, we know that Arteta is the most powerful. Then if we look at other names coming through the door that excite us a bit more, we'll finally look at the Cronkies and say, right, you've woken up and given Berta the keys. That's what we got to do, bro. So it is frustrating. And people might say, calm down, keep your powder dry. It's the 5th of June, relax. Nothing's even started yet. Nobody signed anyone yet. This is all true. But when everybody else is getting their business done pretty quickly and it's a matter of days before they're announcing all these signings and Arsenal are still trying to work out where they're going with a centre forward that, let's be real, they've needed for 4 or 5 years. That's why it's kind of worrying and frustrating for me, bro.
And you know what? I want to make it clear, like for today's show, I don't even really want to talk about last season now. I think it's done and we want to kind of look ahead and think about what direction we're going in. I think when you're finishing 5th or you're finishing 8th, if your club are taking a long time to get deals done, you can understand it because you're probably having to convince players to join you. When you finish 2nd 3 years in a row and Arteta's in the press conference saying, all these players want to sign for us. You know, this is what he's saying now. These big players want to sign for us. So surely if you've got your pick of Europe or world football and we've got the money, what's taking so long? Because like you said, people can say, okay, you know, there's no rush. The season hasn't started yet. Pre-season hasn't started. But there's only 3 or 4 strikers available in this market that are probably 5, 6, 7 clubs are looking at. And like you said, Gyökeres will end up somewhere else if we don't get him. I saw today 30 million a season in wages offered by Al Hilal to Osimhen. So he could be off to Saudi. And then, like you said, Liverpool now being linked with Sesko because they're saying they won't buy a striker until Darwin Núñez is sold. So if Gyökeres is already gone, they might go, well, we'll take Sesko then. And I'm not being funny. If you're Sesko, you go to Liverpool over Arsenal in the current situation with them being champions. So I think every Arsenal fan has got a right to say, why are we not quick in the transfer market? And are you starting to have doubts now about not Berta as in what he's capable of doing, but the kind of leverage and power that he's got? Because we kind of thought he's going to come in, he's going to dominate the transfers, but it still feels to me like Arteta's steering this boat.
Look, if Berta comes in and by the time that window shuts, I'm very happy with the window. He deserves credit. If we get to a stage where there's been any inkling that we've been targeted away from something and Arteta has meant, nah, we're going to go back to this guy. If it does not work, I'm sorry, Mikel's got nowhere to hide and no leg to stand on. Because it could be the fact that Andrea Berta is quite happy at Arsenal. He's quite happy to stay for a season and see how things go. And if he's going to be turning around saying, well, what was the point of you appointing me? Because you've already got your targets. I've come in and said, right, this is what I think we should do. And what you've said is, to me, or what it looks like at the moment is, Andrea, we really need you to get these 4 players in. Yeah. Oh, well, could you not do that then? Well, you kind of want your thing. I didn't think that was the understanding. I thought the understanding was you are going to work alongside me, and I'm going to work alongside Mikel to get the players that he wants in. No. We know the players we want. It's your job to go and get them. So if that is the case, I don't think we needed Andrea Bura. We should have just kept hold of someone else because Arteta is basically Andrea Bura. So I can't see that. It needs to be away from Mikel Arteta. Now, I've made this point quite a few times, and I'll say it again. I don't like the fact that we don't sign massive players when we're in the Champions League. We don't. Not under this regime. We did it under Wenger with Alexis Sanchez and Aubameyang and Ozil, but if I'm honest with you, the other ones aside from that, they weren't massive. Declan Rice is the only huge name that we've bought in and for a lot of money, but he was at West Ham. It wasn't like we went and bought Real Madrid centre midfielder for £100 million. So when I look at the Europa League teams that we had, we bought in players that were very good players, and I quite liked them. I thought Kieran Tierney was a good shout. We were in the Europa League. I thought Gabriel was a brilliant signing. Saliba was a brilliant signing. Ben White, to be fair, was a good signing. Martin Odegaard was bought in. Thomas Partey was bought in. Up top, we had Lacazette and Aubameyang that were bought in when we were in the Europa League. Pepe for 72 million. We were in the Europa League. So I've got to be honest, since the Champions League, I've been a fan of Timber and Rice. That's it.
Yeah.
The other signings have been Kai Havertz, which we all know was a problem signing. It's been Raheem Sterling, which is just a joke, to be honest. Norbert Neto in goal. Calafiori, which was a huge signing and a huge amount of money that we put towards a position that we really didn't need. It wasn't necessary because we had another 4 left backs on the bench. And then Mikel Merino, who was probably the best of a bad bunch of those signings, to be fair. 1, because he could stay fit, and 2, because he played in a different position we didn't sign him for and actually did half a decent job. So when you look at the players that we've bought in since we've qualified for the Champions League, it's been very disappointing other than Timber and Rice. You could make a case for David Raya, but even that signing caused hell of a lot of drama in its first year, didn't it? Because obviously we had Aaron Ramsdale. We didn't know what we'd do with the 2 keepers, and it caused massive amounts of problems to the point where David Raya actually had a difficult start at Arsenal. And he looked like a real bad signing in the first 5 or 6 games. He kept getting lobbed and he kept dropping the ball and nerves were getting to him. Since then, it's been definitely the right decision. But other than him and Timber and Rice, I'm struggling to see where we're going. So do I have doubts with it is the question you asked. Not yet, because I need to see Berta actually doing something first. If I don't see Berta doing stuff, then we've got our answer, Curtis. He isn't allowed to. Yeah. Mikel Arteta's in charge. So it really is going to be a matter of time. And people have said to me last season, we'll find out what's happening. We'll find out what's happening. And we didn't really, because Edu left and Ato went, and we got to a scenario of Arteta's already signed the contract. But this time, there's nowhere to stand. There's nowhere to hide. Because you're going to find out who's in charge. You're going to find out who's got the powerful voice. You're going to find out what the Cronkies believe in and whose side they're on. And you're going to find out whether Arteta's good enough or not. And then you're going to decide out if he isn't good enough, what the Cronkies are going to do. So people say this is a tough season for Mikel Arteta and there's a lot of pressure on him. I think there's an amazing amount of pressure, or should be at least, on the ownership and board, bruv. Because if they are accepting this mediocrity, second best, no trophies, give it more time, progresses, more money spent, I'm sorry, man, but I've got to get them. I've got to get them out, them owners somehow, because they're the problem. Mikel Arteta, for me, people keep asking me if I'm out. I'm out. Listen, I've been Mikel Arteta out since Burnley game in 2020. Let's just have it right, yeah. Until he proves me he can win something, I'm not going to believe he's good enough. However, I'm no longer going to start screaming Arteta out because it's the ownership that are keeping him here, and if you put me on £15 million a year and said, crack on, don't have to win anything for 5 years, I'd be quite happy too. So for me, it's an ownership problem here, man. Massively.
Do you know what? I get your point. I think everything comes back to the owners. When you look at it, I think a better manager could have won the league with the money and the time and the patience that the owners have given to Arteta. So that's kind of why my focus is more on Arteta than the ownership. Also, it's much easier to change manager than ownership. That I don't think these owners are going anywhere for a long time. Like they like owning Arsenal, you know, and having that English football club, and it helps them do other things. They're expanding in LA with their training facilities over there as well. With Andrea Berta, I think what I'm starting to be concerned about is I thought he was going to come in and sort of pick the names of the players that we sign. I'm now looking at it thinking, are they going to tell him the players that we're signing and then he negotiates the deal? And then obviously when we've got to sell players, he sells the players. I'm not sure he's going to have as much power as we've been kind of hoping that he's going to have. 8 Nori, here we go, by the way. 40 million euros. And this is what I'm saying, yeah. This is what I'm saying. And I know people will say, oh, so it's Man City money, blah, 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 right? But I think I literally heard about 8 Nori Man City on Monday. I'd never heard that link before Monday when they were saying 8 Nori Livramento. It's Thursday, here we go. We've been signing Zubimendi since January, and people are telling me, calm down. Like, that's a good player, by the way. 40 million euros. I think he's a good left back. That's like,
well, we spent that on Calafiori, didn't we? So look, that's a really good signing. I think Kirkes and 8 Nori are very, very good signings. So Manchester City have needed a left back for time. Obviously, Liverpool are going to get Kirkes. I think Kirkes is the better of the two. However, I will say 8 Nori, they're both proven in the Premier League. So they're not going to need any adjustment time for the new league. They're not going to need any time settling in. It's going to be excellent signings, that. And we're still trying to work out who our best left back is. And we think we might have found a 17-year-old kid. Like, and this is the thing. People say to me, who are you going to get? But they don't say that when it's a striker, do they, Curtis? If I said to you, like, oh, I'm not sure about Arteta, who do you want? Well, there's quite a lot of managers out there. Well, they're not as better as him. Okay, then I'll spin it back on them. We've got Kai Havertz at the moment. We need a new striker. Who are we going to get? Well, there's loads of strikers out there. Yeah, there is. Just like there's loads of managers. So I've got to be honest. Like, for me, I think by now we should have won trophies. Not one trophy, trophies.
Definitely.
And Arsene Wenger would have won trophies. Unai Emery would have won trophies. Now, I know people say, how do you know that? How do you know that? Well, the record suggests they would, right? Because Unai Emery won 3 Europa Leagues in a row with Seville. He won a Europa League with Villarreal. Arsene Wenger was the manager with the most FA Cups. And people will poo-poo them trophies. I don't want a Europa League. I don't want an FA Cup. I don't want a League Cup. I want the Premier League. I want the Champions League. This guy can't even win the domestic cups. What makes you think he's going to go and win a Premier League or a Champions League then? So it's time to deliver, bruv. I'm sick and tired of talking about time. I'm sick and tired about people calling me entitled and impatient. We've been very patient as a fan base. It's time to deliver now. And we know that the way we can deliver, the only way to deliver, is to go and get these players in the door, man. Not just a striker, by the way. We need more than just a forward. So there's a lot of it in the moment that I'm getting a little bit squeaky bum time about, because I don't actually think, and Judges said this to me yesterday, he doesn't think we're going to sign anybody until after the Club World Cup. He actually doesn't think we're going to get anybody in the door until after the 15th of June when it shuts, and we'll get the next part of the window done. And I thought, he might be right, you know. So,
well, this one closes on the 10th, don't it? So we've only got 5 days. So
there we go. So
we're not, let's be honest, we're not signing. If Zubimendi hasn't been announced and he's the one we all thought was going to get announced quickly, then it's going to be that second part of the window. And the Man City owner in that interview said they're hoping to get all their business done before the Club World Cup. And it's just like, when you hear that kind of, you know, knowing what you want, they've, you know, that's going to be 8 Nori, Cherky, and who's the other one they're getting, Man City? Who's the third? Reinders, who's a baller, by the way. We should have been looking at him. 3 players in already, and apparently City want a couple more. Like you said, Liverpool could have 3 in by the time that window closes if Havertz gets done, and we haven't signed one. Now, I always say the transfer window isn't a race. You can come out the block, sign 4 players, and they can be the wrong players, or you can be patient and get the right players. But I mean, I read a story today on ESPN, how true this is. It says Arsenal are still figuring out what striker to go for. I'm thinking, you're in June, bro. You're in June. You tried to sign Sesko last summer. You tried to sign him in January, and now you're trying to sign him again. And apparently they're saying, you know, they're weighing up which striker to get. Now, surely a multi-billion-pound football club should have better planning than that. And no, like, they should know by now, listen, they want Sesko or whoever it is. Gary Jacobs said, Arsenal's rivals have been quick to strengthen this month. Andrea Berta likes to negotiate several deals for the same position at the same time before deciding which one to activate. Arsenal's recruitment will be a balancing act in terms of fees and ages. I mean, I get that. Sometimes, let's say Arsenal went all out for Sesko and didn't get him, and then you haven't got a backup plan. I get that. But surely you just, if Sesko's the guy, you get him signed. I don't think that. I always say,
what does it sound like as well when you're say that it's best is Sesko and Gyökeres?
Yeah,
they must be thinking, do they want me then? Because they're looking at other guys alongside me. Is it really keen for me to go there when they're not even decided on me yet?
Yeah,
I think it looks bad for him
as well. Like, it's out there. His agent will be saying, well, Victor, Arsenal don't seem sure. They're being linked with Sesko. They're slow in negotiations. United have just offered the money, or Chelsea have just offered the money. You're going to think as a player, well, you go where you want it, don't you? So I just think this sends out the wrong message. And also that balancing act part of it in terms of fees and ages. It's always like, I don't know, Arsenal, you don't hear Man City talk about, oh, we got a balance. Like, we hardly spent any money last season in terms of net spend. So this should have been a big summer where we could blow up the market a little bit. Just, yeah, it's an interesting one.
If Manchester United end up getting Gyökeres, Curtis, this is a disgrace. Let me tell you that. Because
100%.
There's no way that Manchester United should be an option for Victor Gyökeres. If he goes there, it means Arsenal haven't made the offer sweet enough for him. It's the most obvious first signing I can ever think of. There's a guy who's killing it in Europe. He said he wants to leave. Arsenal need a striker that's going to kill it in Europe. Make it make sense. It's simple. But we're mucking around, wondering whether Sesko might be the best option. I think what's happened here is we've decided on Sesko already. Sesko is set for Arsenal and he's quite excited about it. And we're now trying to look at if there's a potential to get Gyökeres, who's a better deal. And Andrea Berta is the guy who's suggesting to Arteta, don't go for him, get Victor Gyökeres. Because it's no coincidence that we were not linked with Gyökeres until Berta walked in the door. There's no coincidence with that, bruv. Sesko is the guy that Arteta believes is going to be the next Haaland. That's what people are talking about. I mean, I saw the other day, I sent it to you. Someone was just comparing him to a Lewandowski / Suarez type. I mean, why do we do this? Why do we do this?
It's so desperate, bro, because all these Arsenal fans that never rated Sesko, the moment we're linked with him, he's incredible. Oh, he's the new baby Zlatan, they're calling him online. I'm like, bro, God. The guy hasn't done anything of note. I seen Timo Werner score 20 goals in Germany, and Kunku was scoring 20 goals in Germany. This guy's got 13 goals. People telling me, I want Sesko. Well, he didn't do nothing in the Euros. He did nothing in the Champions League. His team didn't even make the qualifying games in the top 24. They got knocked out. What are we doing? Gyökeres is the most informed striker in Europe, along with Kylian Mbappe. Right? He was joint top scorer in the Champions League group stage. If that guy goes to Man United, if United finish 15th and pull in Gyökeres and Mbeumo and Cunha, and we're out here looking at Leroy Sané and Sesko, then again, it tells you everything about this club. That even when we get in the Champions League, we need to be in the Champions League to sign world-class players. Are we being linked with any world-class player? Because Sesko ain't world-class. Leroy Sané ain't world-class. He might have been at City 5 years ago. He's not anymore. Zubimendi's not world-class. I think he's a good player, but he's not world-class. So what's I don't understand.
We go the way the wind blows, don't we, as a fan base? Like, there's a section of the fan base that are quite happy to say, Zubimendi, can't believe it, unbelievable player. This guy's like a Xabi Alonso. He's got the best passer of a football in Europe. It's outstanding to see. Then he makes a comment about Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso, and everyone's saying, well, I don't want him. He's not even that good anyway. He's not even an upgrade on Partey. Same with Sesko. We don't really know Sesko much. So Arsenal were linked with him. Well, he's like Haaland. That's what I'm like. I've seen a clip of him. He's like Haaland. What are we talking about here? You didn't want him a minute ago. The minute Arsenal want him, now he's like Haaland. What is going on? We just gas up everything so much. Like Fabi Vieira. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody. And because they saw that he got 14 assists, they start comparing him to Ozil. Oh, this guy's a creative king. He's an assist king. He can't kick a ball for us without getting fallen over or flicked over. and he goes back to Portugal. Like, we need to stop hyping people up. We've got to give them a chance, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
give
I'll
him a
do that.
chance. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Sesko does come, I'm not going to go, no, don't like him, get him out. I'm going to watch him, see what he's like. But he's more of a risk than Gyökeres would be. He's killing it at the moment.
Listen, I did a video the other day comparing both of them, and I tried to be a bit more fair without being critical. And Sesko clearly has potential. He's quick for a big man. He's versatile. He's definitely a player with huge potential. I think if we had a number one striker and we were adding Sesko to that, I would be very excited by that signing, the way City added Mamouche to Haaland. But to bring him in and say, lead the line, score us 25 league goals and win us a title, I think it's a big ask. You know, it's a lot to ask from him. Let me just get these super chats. Guna Carla said, Berta usually lets the market play and then strikes. So, yeah, maybe that's the way he does it. So we'll have to see and hope that he does. Tarun said, who would be your choice if Gyökeres goes to United and Sesko goes to Liverpool? I think Osimhen is off to Al Hilal.
Well, they're the only three. The only two that I want is, well, three that I want. One of them's unrealistic, Isak. The only other two that I would accept are Gyökeres and Osimhen. I don't want any of the others. They're not good enough for me. Like, I don't want Sesko or Retegui from Atalanta or Jonathan David. I don't mind João Pedro. I don't mind Mateta, but they're not going to take us across the line, man. They're the sort of options we're going to get if we ain't going to be one of those guys.
Ryan said, Dan's wall is looking like Arteta's trophy cabinet.
Big up, Ryan. It is at the moment, mate. It won't be long. It'll be soon later. It will be up and running again.
Yeah. Forever a Gunner said, Berta likes to negotiate with several clubs first with all the players, and at the end he makes his decision who fits the best. That's why it's delayed. Yeah, hey, big up Fitz-Joseph, who, by the way, man, he's been in hiding for months. What he says, Dan, I do not agree with your point about Mikel Arteta just winning a cup is enough. Arteta has spent enough money and has had enough time that the ship of just winning a cup has long sailed. Please do not let Arteta lower your standards.
No, we
were talking about that the other day, weren't we?
I really like this super chat. And I've been called out quite a lot for it, to be fair. And I don't really think I've got any defence. I kind of feel like I've been a bit stumped by it, really, because I do want to raise the standards at Arsenal. But, you know, when you become so starved of silverware, I feel like the next cup I win, I'm going to be absolutely loving it because I don't know when the next one's going to be. And I kind of feel like I didn't do that enough in COVID because obviously we couldn't. That means we've won one trophy in 8 years. And the last time I properly celebrated one with friends and family was 2018, bro. That feels like a lifetime ago. 2017 even, which feels like a lifetime ago. For Chelsea. So I'm feeling now like there's an opportunity for me to potentially lower my standards a bit by saying, win me silverware. Doesn't matter if you come second on the last day of the season because we've won a trophy. And it kind of makes me a bit sick that I'm saying that, to be honest, because that means I must be starved. I could be like others and say I want a Premier League or the Champions League, or he's got to go. But I would take an FA Cup. I love the FA Cup, Curtis. I love it, mate. I grew up on it. It's got so much history to me. I've got so many memories from when I was a kid in 1998, when I was growing up through school in the 2000s, and we were going to Wembley and Millennium Stadium, and you know, obviously the new Wembley now of late. I've got so many great memories of friends and family. I want that again. And I know that if we won the FA Cup, I wouldn't be saying, right, get rid of the manager that's allowed me to have those memories. Unfortunately for Mikel, he's not allowed me to have any memories at the moment. The only memories are we beat Real Madrid once, or we beat Man City by this goal, or we had an XG of this against PSG, or we have unbeaten against big six teams. They're not trophies for me, bro. Oh, we got to 89 points. Okay. Did we win anything from any of that stuff? Can you put any of that in a trophy cabinet? Does that go down in your history of your football club? No. An FA Cup would, a Carabao Cup would, a Champions League absolutely would. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I obviously have an order of priority, right? Because some people have said, I don't care what we win. I do. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win the Premier League. I want to win the FA Cup. And then I want to win the Energy Drink Cup, which everyone calls it, Carabao Cup, right? I would take any bit of silverware along with competing, bruv. I would. Because I feel like that is the minimum of expectation. And it doesn't mean, by the way, that that's done.
You've got to keep going afterwards.
You've got to keep going, bruv, afterwards. You don't win a trophy and go, oh, thank God the process works. We can go and watch the Formula 1 and tennis now. Forget about football. This one's completed. No, man, it's about competing and winning again and dominating. This is what we did across a very, very long period of time. And you and I were lucky with similar age. I think you're a bit younger than me, but I'm very, very much. I grew up winning, and I have been spoilt, which is why I'm potentially a little bit entitled. When I get to 21 years, I can't be entitled anymore. When I get to over 30 without the other two domestic competitions and any form of European trophy, you can't be entitled. You've been patient enough now. It's time to deliver, man.
Do you know where I'm? Listen, and I respect your opinion on that, and I want to make it clear. I love the FA Cup. You know, I used to 12 o'clock midday, watch all the build up, the players turning up in suits. I think the FA Cup is still a major trophy. However, because of the way the club have dressed up Arteta as this giant that's like been brought here to win as the majors and trust the process and all that. If let's say we finish second or third and win the FA Cup, to me, I would still move him on at that point, because I just think Crystal Palace won the FA Cup this season. Ten Hag won the FA Cup with a washed-up United. We won the FA Cup after finishing 8th. I don't think in year 6, and he will have probably spent $1 billion by the end of this window. I think in year 6, winning the FA Cup and not getting that title for a 4th season in a row of challenging for the league, I don't think that's enough to give him another season. I would say Wenger was winning FA Cups. It wasn't enough. And again, some people have a go at me for that and say that's entitled. But I think this season, if he'd won the FA Cup and finished second, I would have gone, okay, I'm happy with that. You deserve some credit for that. But I think next season, with another 250 million spent, I think that's too far. I think a lot.
I think if we won a Carabao Cup, you'd get rid.
Even the Carabao. Like, listen, and it sounds contradictory because I would celebrate the Carabao Cup. I would celebrate the FA Cup. But my overriding, listen, look at Tottenham. Tottenham have won their first trophy in what, 17 years, is it, since they've won a trophy?
Yeah.
You would think Ange would be build him a statue.
Yeah,
build him a statue. Even Tottenham are going, yo, you've brought the best thing in 2 decades to that club, but they're going, listen, could be time for you to go.
And I think that's why it's got to be competing for the league alongside it. So if, for example, we win the Carabao Cup, or let's just say it's the FA Cup, because people don't like the Carabao Cup, so we move from that one. Let's talk about the FA Cup. Arsenal win the FA Cup next season and come 5th. He's got to go, right? Arsenal win the FA Cup and miss to Liverpool the last day of the season. I think he deserves to stay, because I think he's won us the trophy. He's finally instilled winning mentality, and he's taken us to the last game. That, for me, would be my minimum expectation. But if he's not winning, be competitive. If he's not winning anything, he's got to go, right? But if he's winning and he's not competitive, he's still got to go. You've got to be competitive in that league, Curtis. You can't be coming 5th, or you can't be coming 3rd and 15 points off of the title. You can't be doing that. Like that. That's just not something that we are interested in doing. So it does have to be one of the big ones. I hear what people are saying, but I think a silverware and minimum expectation of competing for the league would probably keep him safe. But we just got to deliver, man. We really have.
Got to deliver something. Cashley Cole said, big up yourselves, Uncle Big C and Uncle Dan. How vexed would you be if Zubi gets hijacked?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure what to believe on this one.
When Real Madrid
genuinely come knocking, they get him. I don't think Real Madrid have come knocking for Zubimendi.
No.
This is a comment that Zubimendi replied to after asking about his thoughts on Xabi Alonso. He wasn't actually asked on his thoughts on Real Madrid. Now, that would have been very different. If Zubimendi would have been asked about what's your favourite club, and he says, my favourite club is Real Madrid. I'd love to play for them one day, and it would be a dream. I'd be a little bit more like, okay, interesting. But he's talking about Xabi Alonso. Now, I'm sure that if Xabi Alonso wants him, he can go and get him. But it doesn't look like there's been any bids whatsoever put in for Zubimendi from Real Madrid. So I think personally it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen yet. I'd be pissed off if it's hijacked, not because I love the player, just because we've got another one of our targets that we haven't been able to. It's just embarrassing again, bruv. Like Caicedo. You know, we've had that before, haven't we? And how many clubs how many players have we been linked with for months and months and we've never ended up with? Luis Suarez, Karim Benzema, Higuain, Yann Villa, Julian Draxler. I remember every season for about 6 years, we were linked with Solomon Kalou. Do you remember that one? I was like, why are we linked with these players? We never get them, or they get hijacked and go somewhere else, you know? And the amount of, I think me and you and Curtis were saying it. Me, you and Turkish were saying it. Like, how many players go to other clubs and you think, why aren't we going for him? Like Reinders, for example.
All the time, don't we?
Yeah. Reinders, Florian Wirtz, even Kirkes. You know, I'm looking at these players thinking they probably start for us. Cunha, and Buemo, even though he might not start, is unbelievable cover for Saka. These are players, and they're not a lot of money, by the way. It's not like they're going for 150 million pounds. They're going for about 40 or 50, some of them. So we've got to get this right, man.
With Zubimendi, listen, I think if Real Madrid were in for him, they'd get him. I don't think they are in for him. I think they say Xabi Alonso wants him because of the Sociedad link, but if you look at a lot of Real Madrid accounts, they're saying Tchouaméni was finished the season well, so I don't think he'd get in their team anyway. Maxwell, big up to you on your birthday, bro. Hope you're having a good one. Midnight said, sitting on our hands while the rest making moves. We've seen it before. Babatunde, I think fans in England are dorsal, no pressure. Yeah, listen, I think in general, like football fans in England are not like a lot of parts of Europe in the world where, you know, when guys aren't happy, you've seen players getting attacked, training grounds getting stormed, protests galore. I think in England, people are a lot more passive, really, about it. Alex said, maybe we are trying to get both. We need 2 forwards. I just can't see us buying Sesko and Gyökeres at them numbers. MJ said, Yok at the theatre soon. I want you, man, game 1. Well, he's a Man U fan who's obviously he's been saying for a while, actually, Cunha and Buemo Gyökeres front threes. Looks like he's got 2 out of 3, and now Gyökeres being linked with United. George said, I agree, but at the same time, disagree with that comment, Dan. That should have been the target a few years ago. Well overdue now. Big one's or he needs to go. Big up to you, George. Fitz said, the bigger problem, by just winning a cup, the Arteta cult will allow the manager to stay for another trophyless 5 years. They would run with a trophy for a while. SG said, Arteta winning the cups ain't enough. With all the money he spent, imagine Arteta was a chef. He gets all the ingredients and ends up serving you a cheese sandwich. Hey, man. At the moment, and that's what they do, Dan. They starve us that much, yeah, that when they deliver that poor meal, you're so hungry, you're like, yo, I'll just take it, man. Beans on toast. You know what I mean? 100%. Cheese sandwich.
But can you imagine what this fan base will do if it is just winning an FA Cup again? It will be the most prestigious FA Cup we've ever won because Arteta's done it. And, I know he's won it before, but it will be like Arteta has built this machine and he's got us across the line. It will be like better than anything Arsene Wenger's ever done. You know, it's very bizarre, this fan base that lap it up a lot. But I'm here for it. I just want to win something, man. I really do. Yeah,
definitely, man. A story that broke today, just before we went live, would be an exciting story. But before we talk about it, I mean, I've read the full story and there's no quotes. There's no certainties around it. But Gary Jacob in the Times saying that Arsenal have added Morgan Rogers to their list of attacking targets. However, any deal to acquire the player from Villa would be costly. It's one of them articles where you read it and you're like, you're not really saying anything. You know what I mean? He's saying they want at least 80 million. They're more likely to sell Jacob Ramsey. Apparently, Arteta's a big fan of him. I thought in the game at Villa Park, he ran Thomas Partey ragged, and Declan Rice, to be honest. I actually think he's one of the best sort of box-to-box attacking midfielders in the league. I think he's outstanding. Do you think there's any chance that we get him? I just think with Odegaard and Rice sort of playing box to box, I don't see Arteta going for him, but I would love to sign him if we could.
Understatement. I would absolutely love to sign him. I think this one, the reason I've not mentioned him is because I thought it was unrealistic. I didn't think Villa would sell him, and I didn't think that he'd be cheap. Aston Villa have definitely got some PSR issues, by the way, from what I hear. Yeah. So they would need to make one big sale. Now, they're talking about Watkins and Martinez might be available. So I don't know if they want to make Rodgers available as well. However, this one might actually allow them to keep hold of one of the other two if we get sort of 80 million slapped down, because that's what we're hearing, 75 to 80 million. I love him. And I've got to be honest, I think him and Eze would be very, very good signings. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. Judges said it. He said, I don't think these Rodrigos are realistic rumours, and I don't think that we're going to get massive amounts of money to spend on that position, over 100 odd million.
Yeah.
But if we was to get Eze and Rodgers, you've got a left winger and an attacking midfielder. And to be fair, they can actually play both. Rodgers has played on the left as well. Eze's played on the left, and they both can play in the attacking role, and they can both actually play in the attacking 8 role as well. So to play 10, 8 and left wing, for both of these options, I actually think that's a really good shout. Now, I know Eze and Rodgers are probably going to cost you 150 million, and then you're going to put, 60 on top of that for Zubimendi. That's already over 200. But if you was to get a striker like Gyökeres on top of that, there's your 250 million. And then what you do is you get rid of some players and say, right, let's sell Kivior if he wants to go, and we'll bring in Harto. Let's get rid of the goalkeeper Neto who's gone, and let's bring in a backup goalkeeper, or keep Cole Hine if you think he's good enough. I don't think the defender and the goalkeeper need to be spending much money on that. If you said to me now, the window is probably going to be 2 midfielders or 3 midfielders and 2 attackers as the 5, I'd be quite happy with that, Curtis, to be honest.
Do you know what? Yeah, if we spoke about Eze a lot, and listen, I don't think Arsenal will go for any attacking midfielder because Arteta loves Odegaard. Also, I'm thinking if we sign a striker, don't be surprised if he drops Havertz into attacking midfield again just to get him in this team. Don't be surprised, bro. But if you had a choice, Eze or Rodgers, who would you take out of those two?
Probably Rodgers. Actually,
yeah, I think I would just because he's younger, he's energetic as well. He's a lot more. I've seen Eze. I spoke to a Crystal Palace fan, and he said that Eze. He said you only see his highlights when he's bopping teams off the pitch. He said there's a lot of days where he doesn't do much. He's a bit strolls around the pitch. Where Rodgers very all action. They're both very good, but Eze's a bit injury prone as well. I would go Rodgers.
I got Jude Bellingham vibes from Rodgers when he played us at Villa Park. I thought, wow, he literally dominated that midfield and smashed it, like you said. Eze, I've seen him do some unbelievable things on the ball. Technically, he's probably better, and I think he's gifted in terms of his goals. But I think Rodgers is that engine. He just absolutely drives forward, and he can score as well. I think he's naturally more what we want in the first 11. My problem is, and the reason I don't see this happening, he's not going to start ahead of Rice. He's not going to start ahead of Zubimendi, and he's not going to start ahead of Odegaard. So he's not going to come, Curtis, is he? Let's be real. If you're bringing him in, where's he starting?
Could you not? I mean, listen, I'm just thinking what I would do. Could you not put him in that sort of role that Rice is playing and put Rice back into the 6?
So I mean, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But then where does that leave Zubimendi and Partey? And where does that leave Arteta with this whole Declan Rice role? He seems to love him in the 8, doesn't he? So
listen, let's be honest. I'm not even going to harp on about this. We're not getting him. There's just no chance. Our midfield next year will be Zubimendi 6, Rice box to box, and Odegaard, right 8 or whatever you want to call it. So it's almost irrelevant talking about it. But sometimes these journalists, they know they can throw a name out and everyone's going to run with it. But
they get excited. Yeah,
I think he's a hell of a player. Chelsea being linked with him, I would be fuming if they get him. Because
he could play ahead of Odegaard, couldn't he? Let's be real.
All day long.
I don't think he would allow that, Arteta. He seems obsessed with Odegaard. He
loves him. He loves him. Sniper said, I'm getting Gyökeres just for the celebration. The celebration's quality. I can't imagine him. Bro, imagine him in front of the North Bank, scores a big goal opening day, and he just runs off and does that. But we haven't had that kind of sign. I remember when Aubameyang first scored and did the front flip. Oh my God, you know what I mean? We need that player at Arsenal. We need it. We haven't got that sort of exciting player where the kids want to be him. When you used to score a goal when you was a kid and you'd say a player's name. I don't think we've got that. Maybe Saka a little bit, but we need that exciting signing, man.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Definitely. Earwoo said Arteta is ready to die on that Havertz hill. I mean, I don't know if you saw today, man. They're posting pictures of Havertz in the gym. You can see he's put some size on, but I'm just bro, how many more times are you going to try and sell us this guy, bro? It's like someone knocking on your door trying to sell you windows when you've got a brand new house. We don't need the windows, bro. I don't need Kai Havertz at Arsenal. I'm telling you. Ring up Leverkusen and say, listen, once Liverpool drop that money from Florian Wirtz, come and get your golden child back. You know what I mean? We'll pay half the wages. We'll give you a cheap price. Take him back to Leverkusen, man. Trying to sell him. Oh, look how much weight he's put on. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
There's this breaking news from Romano about the former Juventus head of scouting.
No.
He's had advanced talks to sign at Arsenal, working alongside Andrea Bura. It's just on Romano's page now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that actually. Yeah, Tanozzi or something.
Why is he coming in now? Why is he not in here already?
Bro, you know when I seen it, I thought we were signing like Vlahovic or someone from Juventus. You know what I mean? Yeah, every day people say to me, like, you know, like during the stream, they'll be like, oh, Fabrizio Bomba, you're like, you rush there and you're like, oh, it's Man United. Oh, it's Chelsea. Oh, it's Man City. You finally get some Fabrizio Arsenal news. We're getting the former Juventus head of scouting and Grenada director, Matteo Tanozzi, currently in advanced talks to sign. He'd be part of the team working under Bura.
Why is he not here already then?
I mean, what should I do? Should I go to the Emirates and print his name on my shirt? Yeah, Tanozzi on the back of the shirt. I mean, bro? Man's been in talks since January, and you're now bringing in staff members for him to work with. This guy's probably going to try and sign some leftovers from Juventus. You know what I mean? Get it off the screen, bro. This transfer.
Why have we not got this guy in place?
Do you know what I realised, Daniel? You know, if I wasn't making content, I would lock off from Arsenal till like pre-season, honestly. Because, you know, at the moment, I don't know about anybody else. I'm going on Twitter and I'm like, Fabrizio, anything, no. Ornstein, anything, no. I'm typing in Gyökeres Arsenal. Is there any new reports? Nothing. Sesko Arsenal, nothing. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I don't even want to.
And now like, you're doing it. Everyone will get excited about this Nozzi guy now. Everyone will start saying, "Oh, have you seen what he's done previously?" About North Banks, he'll be painting on the mural ahead of Patrick Vieira, mate. Like, honestly, he'll get a mural before Vieira. I don't understand how people get so excited about that. That should have been something that Andrea Bura did alongside, like weeks ago. Like, we get him involved, we get him in now. Why are we so worried about? Oh, come on. I just want to sign someone now.
Do you know my only hope with that, yeah? If Berta gets a good little team around him, yeah? All these Italian stallions, yeah, like Rocky Balboa. Hopefully he gains more power at the club. And then if Arteta ain't winning anything, listen, mate, you can go now. I've got 5 of my dons here with me. Do you know what I mean? Because we can't... I feel like we're putting our whole future in the hands of Arteta. It can't be like that. It needs to be... And this guy Berta's achieved more than Arteta in that sort of role. So, what about this one, Dan? Story in the Athletic today. Ollie Watkins has not been entirely ruled out by Arsenal this summer, although Arsenal still have reservations about the price. I mean, this would be the most typical Arsenal thing you have ever seen in your life, right? We try and get him in January. We don't want to pay the 60. Then in the summer, Villa go, you know what? We've got financial problems now. You can have him for 40 or 50 million now. And Arsenal go, yeah, we'll do that instead. I mean, what do you make of it? And this is in the Athletic, which is usually not too bad. But do you think this is their backup plan to Sesko and Gyökeres, Ollie Watkins?
This stinks of if we don't get these two and Gyökeres goes to United and Sesko goes to Liverpool, Ollie Watkins will come to Arsenal. And I said earlier, didn't I, that Aston Villa might have to sell someone and that Watkins was the name I heard. He's 30, or is he 29, 30?
29, nearly 30.
Massive Arsenal fan. Should have probably signed him in COVID when, you know, they got him. We should have probably got him. At the time we had Aubameyang, obviously. But look, I've got to be honest. This is let me make this very clear. I like Ollie Watkins. He's a goal scorer, and his goal scoring record proves that. But if we would have signed him in January, Curtis, would we still need a striker now? Yes. So if we would have got Ollie Watkins in January, we would still want a summer striker. So if we get the one we should have got in January in the summer as our main one, that will look incredibly underwhelming. And that's nothing against Ollie Watkins. I think he's a good striker. I think he'll score goals at Arsenal. In fact, I think he'll score more than Kai Havertz, right? Yeah. However, this is not one that takes us across the line. You do not go up to Aston Villa's striker and get him. Like, let's be real. This is just not the one that excites us. And that's why it has to be Victor Gyökeres. Otherwise, we're going to fail to impress. Yeah. If we end up with Sesko or Watkins or David or Ekatike or Retegui or Patrick Schick or Mateta or Pedro, this is not going to be a summer that we go, wow. And this needs to be the wow summer. Last season should have been the wow summer. Yeah. The summer before that, when we got Rice, that should have been the wow summer, the marquee signings. But unfortunately, we got bloody Havertz on top of Rice. Unfortunately, bro, this is not one that's going to make it better for me. If Gyökeres goes to United and we end up with Watkins, I'm kind of done, bruv, if I'm honest. I can't lie to you, bruv. I'll be
You know
really
what? If
if
Gyökeres goes to United, I think I'll be going mad. Honestly, I think I'll be streaming all night because this guy is the most informed striker in Europe, and you're going to let United get him in 15th. And we're out here talking about Ollie Watkins. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Ollie Watkins is a decent player. I've always said I don't want him at Arsenal. Right? I don't think he lifts the level. Again, if you sign Watkins and someone else, cool, no problem. Do you know why this signing, and I hate to do this, why it would make sense as to how it would prevail? Not that I want it to happen. Arsenal go for him in January. Villa are in the Champions League. Villa are trying to get top 4. Villa say to Arsenal, listen, we know Ollie really wants to go there. It's his dream move. We can't sell him now because we're in the Champions League, but at the end of the season, we'll do the deal at a decent price because we won't stand in his way. They didn't make Champions League. They need the money. Ollie wants the move. Everybody's a winner apart from us. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like this happened. This would be an Arsenal kind of move, to be honest. But
imagine the fan base would be an absolute look. If we got Ollie Watkins and Sesko or Ollie Watkins and Gyökeres, I think that would maybe.
I'm all for that.
Maybe that ain't gonna happen. A little bit. Nah, it ain't gonna happen.
And bro, let me tell you something. If we sign Ollie Watkins, you go on Twitter, they'll talk about him like he's Thierry Henry. Honestly, you know what, this fan base, they will lap that side. Oh, he's England international. He's Premier League proven.
Finally, we've got Ian Wright. Finally, we got Wright back in the up top. That's what it will be like. Honestly, bruv. Like, let's be real, right? Can I just make this very clear that I like Ollie Watkins, okay? However, you and I grew up in a similar era of watching football. I could name 25 strikers that were better than him that I've seen. Maybe more. Yeah, because Jermaine Defoe was better than him. Emil Heskey, Darren Bent, probably James Beattie, Andy Johnson.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to lie. You started off a lot lower down the ladder. I was expecting you to say like Wrighty and Robbie Fowler. Man said James Beattie, you know.
Yeah, but he's right though, isn't it? I don't think that he is anything that they are. I think the level of striker has gone down so low that we now look Vardy in the chat, Jermaine Defoe. These are the players. That's not even talking about Les Ferdinand and Alan Shearer and Rooney and Kane and Aguero and Henry and Bergkamp and even Carnu and Wiltord. Do you know what I mean? These are players that's his level for me, man. He's a good player, Ollie Watkins, good player. So were all them. But I don't look at him. Would you have wanted like Kevin Phillips or Emil Heskey as your main striker at Arsenal a few years ago? No. So why do we want Watkins now? You know what I'm saying? It's mad. Look, they're all in the chat. Crouchy, Anelka, Di Canio, Hasselbank. They're all better than him, aren't they? Kevin Campbell, yeah.
Shout out Kev, man. Rest in peace. You know what? He's on 130 grand a week, Ollie Watkins. He's got 3 years left on his deal. Yeah. I think in January we'd have took it because, of
course,
we were in that situation. He was better than what we've got. That's how they would sell this deal to us as well. He's better than what we've got, but it's not the upgrade that we need, is it? I'm just hoping, because Arsenal are constantly talking about age, that why would you pay 40, 50, 60 million for a guy that turns 30 in December? It just doesn't make sense.
And why would you pay 60 million for him and not 65 for Gyökeres?
and that there is, I mean, Ben Jacobs put this story out a couple of hours ago saying Gyökeres is open to a move to Man United even without Champions League football. He remains a possibility for United, but any move will be dependent on outgoings and formal talks with Sporting are not yet underway. So This is my point to everyone, right? Liverpool, they're saying, won't make a move for a striker until Darwin Núñez gets sold. They're now saying, if you read everything what Ben Jacobs said, he said, once United sign Bryan Mbeumo, United might have to get rid of Rashford and Anthony and 2 or 3 more players before they can then make a move for a striker. So Arsenal have got a little bit of time here to go, right, before United sort themselves out, before Liverpool, we get Gyökeres done and dusted. So whilst people are saying in the chat, this is how Berta does business, he likes to have 2 or 3 options and then they pick one. That's also a dangerous game because these guys are not going to sit there and go, I'll tell you what, mate, I'll give it till the end of the month while you figure out who you want to sign and I reject everyone else who comes in for me. They're not going to do that. These guys want to leave. Like I saw an article that Leipzig are desperate to sell Sesko because they haven't got no Europe. So if these clubs get a good offer, they'll move them. So Arsenal need to figure out quickly what they want to do because
yes,
these options are not there forever.
I don't know what we're hanging about for, bruv. Now listen, if there was 6 strikers that were all the level of Gyökeres, I'd be like, we're going to get one of them. They're all pretty good. We've got our priority. But there is a massive drop-off between Isak and Gyökeres to the others. There's a huge drop-off to Sesko. There's an even bigger drop-off to some of the other names. If you're looking at the Premier League, you're looking at Mateta and João Pedro and Vissa. Yeah. They're not the strikers. Watkins, they're not the strikers that you want to go and get across the line. There's only really in between Gyökeres and the guys is Osimhen, and he looks like he's going to Saudi. There's a shortage of these strikers, and there's too many clubs that want them, bruv.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, if United get Gyökeres, honestly, I will lose my head.
If anyone gets him, and it ain't Arsenal, I'll be pissed off. But if it's Man United, it's just because that would be like it's even easier to get him then because he wasn't even asking for Champions League football. It's just crazy for me, bruv. Like we're not even
just seeing here as well. It says Al Hilal have had positive talks with Victor Osimhen and feel he will accept their offer, £30 million a season in wages.
Well, that's one down then.
So that's one gone already, isn't it?
We're going to end up with Sesko, aren't we? Let's just have it right. We're going to end up with Benjamin Sesko, and this guy's going to go somewhere else, probably Chelsea or United, and absolutely kill it. Or maybe he'll go to Liverpool.
Yeah, I swear down, if Gyökeres goes Liverpool and he's half as good as we think he is,
they'll clear up.
They'll clear up with Florian Wirtz as well, and cut. Nah. That front line, Diaz, Gyökeres, Salah. That's madness. Where our attack is nowhere near that. I'll be honest, right? If United get Gyökeres and they turn up with Cunha, Gyökeres, and Mbeumo, their front three's better than ours. And yet this season, I would say that's one of the worst Man United front threes I've ever seen in my life.
Same.
It's absolute garbage.
Garnacho. The only one I like is Ahmad.
Ahmad's good. Ahmad's good. He's got potential.
The only one, man. So you put Ahmad, Cunha, and Mbeumo and Gyökeres with Bruno Fernandes behind feeding. That's actually a really good front line all of a sudden. Man United can put himself into Europe with that. So
in one season, one transfer window.
I'm sick of it, man.
Not 5 years where we still need a striker and a left winger. That's what I'm saying. People act as if everything, give him time. He needs years. He needs this. Bro, you can fix your attack in one window. Fix your midfield the next window. Fix your 2 or 3 windows. Your whole team can look right if you've got money to spend and you spend it right. White Glove said, get that Tanozzi mural painted ASAP.
There you go.
The Italian scout who's going to lead us to glory. Red Dust said, people always focus on the signings, forget that big clubs are able to get a decent fee when selling players. Look how many players left on a free in the last 10 years. I've done a few streams on it. It's an absolute joke. We had nearly a whole team of players that have gone for free. Mkhitaryan, I think it was Mkhitaryan and Sanchez out wide. It was Aubameyang up front with Lacazette just behind. We had Ramsey, Ozil, and it might have been Jack Wilshere in midfield. We had a whole back four. It was a joke. whole team just gone for nothing, where you should have got at least 150 or something for the lot of them. Anyway, let's go through it. 3,000 of you in the chat, by the way. Make sure we get 1,000 likes. Subscribe to Dan as well. Road to 50k. Subscribe here. Road to 100k. Part-time Party said, stinker in my opinion. He signed Lloyd Kelly and sold Hoyson. Oh, is that the Juventus guy he's on about?
Oh wow, yeah.
Did he though? The scout wouldn't be in control, surely, of who they signed. The Chelsea man said reports suggesting Manu in for Gyökeres. Well, they are. White Glove, what exactly is our transfer plan? We move like headless chickens, sign ballers, wingers, strikers, attacking mids. Where are the ballers?
Yeah.
Carl said PSR rules has Arsenal at 97 million while Chelsea has 300 million. Surely we got more than 97 mil. And Gunnarola, would you take Watkins? Gyökeres, Sesko, Watkins. Man's remixing players. Would you take Watkins if it guarantees Rodrigo?
No.
I don't think I would.
I love Rodrigo, but we need the number 9 that's going to be absolutely prolific and scary. And Watkins isn't. Look, I'd take Watkins and Rodrigo over the likes of Williams and Sesko, if I'm honest. However, I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm honest. I don't think Rodrigo's going to sign for Arsenal. I think he's going to end up staying at Real Madrid.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I don't think Rodrigo's going anywhere. He's too good a player for Madrid to let him go. And the right wing market's poor as well. So yeah, what do you want to see moving forward for the rest of the window? I mean, the left wing situation is very quiet. There's a story today, actually. I'll get it up, but there's a story saying that basically Arsenal would be open to offers for Gabriel Martinelli. I know a lot of people have been talking about the left winger. Would you sell Trossard? Would you sell Martinelli? But they're saying that Saudi clubs are interested in Martinelli. Now, even though I said I would actually sell Trossard, keep Martinelli, if somebody offered big money, because they're saying that Liverpool have rejected an offer from Al Nassr for Luis Diaz, and that Martinelli is one of the players that they're looking at. It's crazy, isn't it, that all this Saudi money's been flying around. We've never profited from it. Why don't they come and buy one of our average players for big money? You know what I mean?
Look, if there's a big offer, you've got to take it. If there's an offer that's like 65 million plus, you got to say yes to it. If they're going to offer 35 million, I think we'd keep him. Trossard's the one I would get rid of, because I think Martinelli from the subs bench through the middle or on the left is actually going to give you some direct pace and power. And definitely legs against the last sort of 35 minutes of a football game where everyone's tiring. So I think he'd be a good squad player. But if you're going to get that sort of money, you've got to say yes, Curtis. I just don't know who is offering that money. Barcelona and Saudi Arabia are the two links. But I think Saudi, if they offer something crazy, then fair play. But I don't know, man. The others, I'm not sure, man. I like him. I do. I think this is a manager problem, not a Martinelli problem. Like, you do have to look at your individual performances. But when you look at the team that he was surrounded by, where he finally got in the side and was absolutely killing it, it was attack-minded. There was a lot more balls being sprayed across the left from Granit Xhaka. He was getting sent through one-on-one with his great passing from Xhaka. And actually, it was like, whoa, this is looking pretty good. Unfortunately, mate, I've got to be honest, that has not happened because the style of play has been so robotic and rigid and resolute and set piece FC. And like, Martinelli's not set pieces, is he? Let's be honest. Martinelli, you thread the ball through to him to run onto and score. And we don't play like that. And since we've stopped playing like that, he's really struggled. So I'll be interested to know his actual opinion as well. Is he happy at Arsenal? Does he believe his future there, you know?
Do you know what, with Martinelli, for me, right? I think most people were big fans of Martinelli. Exciting Brazilian player. If you look at Martinelli, is at his best when you play quick in transition. Yeah. Like, you look at the Real Madrid goal, counter-attack, through ball, run onto it. How often do you see Arsenal play a through ball in any situation? Everything is in front of the team. We're trying to find a way to open them up. I think Martinelli's got to take some responsibility, because at 23 years of age, is he 22, 23? You have
23,
to,
yeah.
23. You've got to improve a bit. There's things in his game that are just immature where you think, bro, you should be doing that when you're 17, like running with your head down. But at the same time, this Arteta system does not help him. Like the way we played 2 years ago, it enabled him to get the best out of him. Look at that Liverpool game where he ripped up Trent. Again, playing passes through balls for him to run onto. This is the reason why Klopp loved him as well, because at Liverpool under Klopp, Martinelli would have probably been a beast. Quick transition, fast football, through balls. He would have scored loads. The way we play at the moment, Martinelli does not work in that system. He spends most of his game defending, and then when he gets the ball, he just doesn't do enough with it. He runs into people most of the time. So if Arteta's going to play the way we played last season, I think there is a point that you would sell Martinelli because he's not going to work. If Arteta's willing to adapt and try and be a bit more attacking, then I think you keep him. But I'm not sure he is. If there was a big offer from Saudi, I would change my mind, even though I would rather sell Trossard. If somebody offered 60, 70 million, I'd let him go. It's too much money.
Do you not think, bruv, left wing market is dead?
Oh,
like, my God, it's dead. And again, Kvaratskhelia was the one we wanted. We didn't get him. Bad from everyone, including us. Rodrigo's the only one that I would take and be excited with. There's no other left winger in European football that I'd be excited of Arsenal signing. That is crazy. Crazy. You look now and think, I looked at Transfer Market a few weeks ago just to have a look at who's kind of valued at what. Do you know who the second highest left winger is value-wise after Vinny Jr.? Luis Diaz from Liverpool. That is how scary it is. You've got Williams, you've got Lookman, you've got Gittins, you've got Semenyo, you've got Eze. None of those go, wow. Eze would be one that does like kind of excite me a little bit. I'm a big fan of Lookman. Rafael Leao. I don't look at any of them and go, oh, wow, ballers. Like Mitoma. Like Mitoma's a good player, but he doesn't take Arsenal across the line, in my opinion. So I've got to be honest. I think how many of the players I've just mentioned are levels above Martinelli? None of them, are they? So
no, not really.
You know, you don't look at that and go, oh, Christ, thank God we're getting Martinelli out, because look at this, we've got Lookman now. You know, some people in the chat are suggesting some names, and look, Barcola's another one that people are talking about, and maybe Barcola would be the next one that could excite us. But is he ready now? He's 22, is he? Is he ready to come and lift us to the next level? Because this is the thing, we're talking about players that are guaranteed to start for Arsenal and take us across the line. So the striker needs to be the guy that gets 20 goals for Arsenal. The left winger needs to be the guy that gets 10 to 15 goals and assists for Arsenal. Are they guaranteed to do that? I don't know that they are, those names.
I mean, do you know what? I'm just looking at Barcola. 14 goals, 10 assists in the league this year. I mean, they do. Barcola's a bit of a... He's exciting but frustrating when I watch him. I think sometimes his end product's a bit rash, like his shooting's a bit... He's technically very good, but I just don't know if his end product's that good. Do you know what I can see happening? And again, I might be being a pessimist here. I can see Arsenal signing Sané and playing him on the left, because I'm looking at it like this, bro, right? Arsenal are going to probably... I think Arsenal will sell somebody this season for decent money. I can't see us just spending like 250 and just not letting 2 or 3 players go who are going to have some value. So I reckon Zinchenko might go, Martinelli might go, because they'll look at it from a business point of view and go, well, if you can sell Martinelli for 50 or 60 million and you get Sané on a free, that looks like good business from a Stan Kroenke point of view, not from our point of view. But I don't expect Arsenal to go, Zubimendi 50 million, Gyökeres or Sesko 70 million, left winger 70 million, backup goalkeeper. There's somewhere that they're going to go, let's get the cheap option there. We've seen this. When have Arsenal ever gone big money in every position? I reckon they will get a cheap player in one of them. We're not being linked with any left winger now. It was only Nico Williams. They reckon he's signing a new contract. I haven't seen us linked with anyone. Gittins is in talks with Chelsea, so I would not be surprised.
Can you imagine?
Sané, yeah.
If let's just deep this for a minute. Our first 11 starting wise this coming season could be Sesko instead of Havertz up top. It could be Sane instead of Martinelli and Zubimendi instead of Partey.
Yeah.
How is that a huge upgrade on Martinelli, Havertz, and Partey? That's just not, bruv. It's just not. Like, this is why it's so key that we get this done and we get the players now. Like, I would take Barcola, I would take Lookman, but are they guaranteed to do better than Martinelli? Probably not. Like,
And we're not
Zubimendi,
really
this is
being
an
linked with
upgrade on Partey.
Barcola, are we? Is there
No,
actual links to Barcola?
there was one yesterday that come out, but I don't think it was really legit.
No.
There's so much, bruv. There's so much. Sane for me is just a bit of a better version of a Raheem Sterling deal. Like, and aren't you just sick of these guys that have come from Man City days, like Jesus, Zinchenko, Sterling? We bought Havertz and Jorginho. Like, let's stop going for the guys that were good 5 years ago. Like, that's why I didn't want Rashford and I wouldn't want Sancho. Like, why are we doing this? They've failed elsewhere. Let's not bother with them. If Bayern Munich don't want Sane, then neither should Arsenal. That's the way I look at it.
I think they've offered him a new deal, but they offered him a significant pay cut. So, and I saw a story that like his missus and kid, they moved back to England. So he obviously wants to be in England. It's a convenience thing, isn't it? We used to joke and say Arsenal's Chelsea's retirement home. You know, it's a bit of it's a convenience deal for him. Go back to London, be with your missus, get $250 a week, knows Arteta. It's convenient for him, isn't it? You know, I reckon if I had to bet now, Sané, Sesko, Saka, 3 S's. Arsenal's front three next season. 2 weeks ago, I was like, yo, Rodrigo, Gyökeres, Saka. No, I'm going Sané, Sesko, Saka. If I had to bet right now. Probably won't be, but and then Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, and the rest of the team will be the same.
Ain't that disappointing though that we already know or we already believe or feel like that is going to be what the transfer window looks like? So, like, if we're linked with a striker, we should be in a position. You'd like to be in a position to go, oh, Curtis, we're going to get Gyökeres, mate. That's going to be unbelievable. Oh, have you heard Rodrigo? Arsenal are signing Rodrigo. Have you heard we want Sanchez from Athletic Bilbao in the attacking 10 role? Have you heard that we want Alex Baena, or that we want Morgan Rogers, or that we want... This is what we should be doing. Going, yeah, no, can't believe it. This is going to be an unbelievable summer. Already, me and you are like, well, we want Rodrigo, but we know it's going to be Leroy Sane. We want Gyökeres, but it's probably going to be Sesko. You know, and this is my problem already. I'm thinking, yeah, that's sounding more realistic. And this is supposed to be the summer where we see change. So there is a lot of pressure on Andrea Berta as well, by the way. And I don't mind saying there's pressure on him because there should be. There absolutely should be. So he's come in, do your job, make it an exciting window. That's what he's got to do, bruv.
Let's see how it goes, man. Forever Gunner said, Rice, second best midfielder. Saliba, second best defender of the season. Our players love to come second. Gabriel, fourth best at ESPN. Aman said, every club making moves. Our club is busy using a thesaurus to find other phrases for looking at, keen on, fan of. Sané Supermax contract inbound. Leroy, we're going to sign Leroy Sané, right? And they're going to show clips of him at Man City from 5 years ago where he was elite. He's had Sterling, now he needs Sané, you know? Random clip said, Curtis Dan, there's a YouTube channel that posts the last 80 shots of players. You should check out Sesko, Isak and Gyökeres' last 80 shots. Seen Sesko miss a couple clear-cut chances. Well, if you've only scored 13 in a season and you play every week, I'm pretty sure that you've missed a lot of chances. So, yeah. But listen, Dan, appreciate you coming on, bro. There's 3,250 people locked in. So make sure you hit the like before leaving. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Dan's channel, Football's 12th Man, link in the title. What you got coming up today, bro? You about?
I'm on in an hour, 4 p.m. show with a panel on my show, 12th Man. So Football's 12th Man, people come check us out at 4 p.m. Got quite a few panel debates and questions for this because there's a lot happening today in relation to other clubs. So I want to kind of get where... I always think what I like about what I do is I also get rivals' opinions, not just Arsenal fans. And I love that because they can see it like so unattached from us. They take the emotion out of it, you know. And I remember speaking to LB the other day and he's like, what are you getting Sesko for, bruv? Like, you know, he's a Man City fan. Like, he wants us to get Sesko instead of Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Of course he does. But he's sitting there thinking, why are you getting him? Why are you going for Leroy Sané, mate? Why are you going, you know, they can all see it as well, man. It's so frustrating, bro. But yeah, man, big up to you, mate. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll try and sort something out on my channel next week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Make sure you go and check out Dan at 4 o'clock. And yeah, that stat that we were talking about, Mamouche, more goals than Sesko in the Bundesliga, and he left in January. More assists as well, by the way. But yeah, people, I'll be back tomorrow 1:30. Check out Dan at 4 o'clock. Big up to everyone locked in. Hit the like button. See you all soon.